Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the number one source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter. Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter, and welcome to Goldilocks Global Banking News. I'm your host, fine folks. Today, Goldilocks is sharing some profound information on the latest updates from Iraq connecting their banking system to the new digital banking system. If you are not aware of what ISO 222 is, if you're not aware of what XRP is, this is the standard, the digital standard of how our currencies will literally be exchanged in the new banking system for the revaluation of currencies. How the exchanges are completed, how the exchanges are done. The dinar, the dome, every currency, the only way the exchanges are completed, meaning you exchange your dong, your dinar, your bolivar, whatever currency you have, in order for that currency to convert into your home currency, whether it's USD or whatever it is, there is no other way but through ISO 222 and via XRP. Goldilocks is showing us now that Iraq just completed their transition to this new system. Just announced. Let's jump right into it. Folks, it's an actual Iraq banking announcement. But I must caution you. To utilize your discernment. Stay grounded and be patient to allow things to continuously develop to the point where rates go up and folks can go to the bank. Let me explain. So on November the 18th and 19th, the National Bank of Iraq announced that it has successfully completed the transition to the new global Swift MX standard for financial messaging, which is based on ISO, International Standard Organization Protocol 222. Have you ever heard of ISO 4217? International Standard Organization 4217, where several months ago, where Wiley shared in the room the standard protocol ISO 4217. Folks, the ISO codes that many of you all of a sudden started seeing moved all over Dinar land after we posted it into our room. The ISO standards were the codes for each currency, which of course these are the currencies that would be included in the revaluation. So, for example, the digital three letter digital code for the dinar is IQD. For the dong is VND. Those are international standard organization numbers or letters. ISO 4217. The ISO 222 is the digital numeric code. Remember, the letters IQD is for ISO 4217. The digital is for ISO 222. Don't think too deep into it. You don't need to know that unless you want to. However, due to the fact that Iraq has now transitioned in connecting to the new digital financial messaging system, this is a milestone that, yes, we've been waiting for. This makes it one of the Iraq's most aligning with the worldwide swift migration to the MX format. This is a transition, a new way for paper currency to now convert into digital transactions. And folks, this new system is mandatory. Now mandatory for cross-border payments. What are cross-border payments? Currency exchanges. And so this must happen to coexist, folks, for the new system. The old system, SWIFT system, it doesn't completely end and go away, but the way for it to be utilized, the old system, old SWIFT system messaging, ends by the end of this month, November, and the new system takes over, which is the ISO 222 system, messaging system. And this move enhances richer data, better compliance, and integration with modern payment systems. Integration with modern payment systems. How is it that Iraq or any country will operate in the old way of the old system of moving money? How are they going to operate in the new system if they haven't upgraded to the new system's way of operating and moving money? There's no possible way. Iraq had to do this, and they've been working on this for quite some time, folks. This is so Iraq can be included in the new digital banking system, in the new way to move money, which will be a new way to move the Iraqi dinar globally. This is a bank-specific achievement, Goldilocks is stating, in Iraq, as part of the broader global shift. Not that a single Iraqi bank is replacing or becoming the global standard, but rather that it has adopted the new international messaging standard. This is Iraq's way of stating and announcing, folks, that they are here. This is their way of preparing themselves for the new banking system so that the revaluation of their currency, any other currency, they can participate in. There is no possible way that Iraq, Vietnam, any country could even exist in the new system and revalue the currency if they continue to operate with the old system and old standards. They'll be left behind. Iraq doesn't want to be left behind. Inclusive in this, Iraq also what Iraq has done, just this past week, they amended what's called their trade agency law, which increases their chances to be included in the World Trade Organization Accession. It's called literally the trade agency law. What is the actual term for the last 6 years that Goldilocks has written about over 3,800 times? Let's say 3,900 almost to be exact. That is needed for the revaluation to happen, and where the RV will happen on the water through what? Trade. The announcement by Iraq. The Iraq Prime Minister has several financial advisors. One of them is Mohammed Salah. He announced the approval of the First Amendment to the Commercial Agency Regulation Law, which is for trade. What this does, folks, it lowers Iraq's prices on their goods. It increases their exports out of Iraq into other countries. And it attracts foreign direct investments into Iraq. For those that have been following Goldilocks for a while, you know very well this is exactly what Vietnam has been doing. FDI, foreign direct investment. Their investors, where investors from around the world are flocking to Vietnam. Iraq is preparing to do the same thing. So we see that the rates and the movement globally for Vietnam and the Dong is moving. Iraq is preparing to do the same exact thing. What this does, this is one of the requirements for Iraq to be included in the World Trade Organization. What they are doing is preparing themselves so that they meet the requirements and get accepted. This aligns with the World Trade Organization requirements for global economic integration. Global economic integration is so that, folks, the dinar can be integrated into the global financial system. What Goldilocks is stating is that although Iraq is not yet fully listed or aligned with the World Trade Organization, Iraq is making every effort in specific areas, and they have achieved some progress. While Iraq has adopted certain international standards, particularly in banking and transparency, it still faces challenges in areas like business regulation, insolvency, market competition, and taxation, according to recent assessments. However, they are making tremendous strides. And Goldilocks is continually telling us to watch the water. This is a trade law Iraq has now just passed. And Vietnam, same thing. They just another, because it seems like Vietnam is passing a lot of laws and regulations in order for the Dong to be stronger on the water through trade. They just increased their trade talks with the U.S. They just had meetings in the United States. And they asked the United States to specifically remove them from what's called D1 and D3 restrictions, because they want to be recognized by the United States as a market economy. You notice I didn't say emerging market like with the FTSE Russell. That's different. This is market economy, which is a whole nother beautiful ball game. If eventually the United States recognizes them as a market economy. Vietnam just again asked the United States to formally recognize them. This would open the Dong even more to growth and increased rate if the United States eventually recognizes them as a market economy. This was a part of the negotiations that they just had with the U.S. in the United States and Washington, D.C. with the Trade Department of the United States. Did I say trade? Yes, I did. The trade advisor of Vietnam was in the meeting. The trade advisor and the leader of the Trade Department for Vietnam met with the United States Trade Administrator. We're coming back to trade again. the Minister of Trade for Vietnam, was in Washington, D.C., meeting with the United States Trade Organization and President Trump's trade representative for the United States, negotiating tariffs. What Goldilocks is reporting is the potential impact on the Vietnamese dong exchange rate. Positive developments from this meeting and ongoing talks could modestly strengthen the Vietnamese dong in short to medium term. Eased high-tech exports, controls, and market economy recognition. See, you got to understand, folks, in these meetings with the trade representatives of the United States and the trade representatives of Vietnam, remember, this is why Goldilocks has always said, watch the water. Why? Because currencies move on the water through trade. Through trade. This is how the supply and demand of currencies move on the water through trade. The trading of goods and services, back and forth, products on the water, country to country, billions in products, billions worth of products in value on the water. The Undersecretary of Vietnam welcomed the Undersecretary of the United States, Helberg, welcomed Vietnam's proactive stance on artificial intelligence and tech initiatives, reaffirming the United States' commitment to cooperation in security, energy, logistics, supply chains, manufacturing, semiconductors, and foundational industries. Why is it so important? This is technology. You're saying AI? Yep. All of the integration on the water through trade at these ports. Artificial intelligence, folks, the technology that is going to be utilized in the new digital banking system is what is going to assure the accuracy of currencies and their exchange rates in the new banking system. If you're one that you've become afraid or concerned with artificial intelligence, hey, I understand. Nothing wrong with that. But you got to understand at this time as well, if you have a smartphone, you have a device that uses artificial intelligence. I don't care what you think, what you say. In some way, shape, or form, you got a smartphone, you have a device in your hand that is utilizing artificial intelligence. You have a bank account, you have a credit card, artificial intelligence. You have a camera system in your home, artificial intelligence. You drive on the road, you got cameras all over the place. Artificial intelligence. Some folks might be married to a person that's really full of artificial intelligence. I said it, but it's true. But technology, I mean really technology. It's being utilized in every form of our society. You go to the grocery store, you pay for it with any sort of digital, your phone, Apple Pay, or credit card, debit card, whatever. Artificial intelligence. The banking system, the new digital banking system. Artificial intelligence. Our transactions for our currency exchanges, how is it going to be done? What's going to be utilized? Artificial intelligence. What is ISO 222, ISO 4217? These technologies, these messaging systems, artificial intelligence. It's technology. There's no way around it. So as Vietnam is in their last final stages of negotiations with the U.S., a part of it is Vietnam agreeing to utilize, to allow the dong and their transactions to be done utilizing new technology for artificial intelligence. This is a way for the President Trump and his administration can assure that that transactions on the water, transactions in the banking system are done whereby the There is accuracy of rates and values, because if humans are doing the rates, if humans are doing the calculations, you got emotions, you got agendas, you got the devaluing of currencies, you got the manipulation, scandals and scams. You know how humans do, especially the ones on Telegram, all on the internet, doing all kind of scamming and scheming. The way that we are now in the new system, folks, technology doesn't have the agenda and the emotions. Now, yeah, of course, humans can control certain parts of technology, but in the new digital banking system, it's technology that will be driving the rates and driving the currencies and driving the system forward. Even artificial intelligence and technology, you get on an airplane, the pilot can press a button and it's autopilot. The pilot just sits there and just watches. Don't even have to control the controllers. Artificial intelligence. Military. Put it in certain codes, press a button, can send missiles and ballistic missiles and weaponry all over the world and attack and hit. Artificial intelligence. Drones. Artificial intelligence. This is where we are at in the new digital banking system. Iraq, Vietnam are preparing themselves and their currencies for the new digital banking system, now presented in laws, regulations, and negotiations. Folks, we are on the brink of greatness. Be great in your own way. Just understand and know what you hold. Currencies, currencies, currencies. If I say the B word, bonds, emotions begin to turn because of what you've been told. Just know what you hold. Beautiful folks, we love you. Be well, stay grounded. Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the #1 source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter.